When we did Magnesia for the show, somebody mentioned a very interesting idea, which was if I played it out with my Pikes as combat shy, but I did a different deployment, do I think it would work any better? And I wondered whether that might be the case or not, so I'm going to try it. Why not? Sounds like fun. We now have all the Pikes together in a phalanx. We have some Cappadocians on the edge of them here. I put the scythe chariots in the middle in front of the Pikes in this game, so I'm going to try and use them to cause trouble up front with a few skirmishes. The cavalry wing of Antiochus is the same, there's no difference here, but I've taken the elephants out from here, put them together and put Galatians either side of them, so there's a separate attack force here which has got two elephants in the middle of it, and then we've got the cavalry wing over here with the lesser cavalry. I've left the Roman deployment exactly the same. So I'm going to try playing it out this way, which should be quite interesting actually. So I'm going to try it and see what results we get. So just as a reminder, all the Pikes are combat shy because I think that does actually reflect fairly well the weakened Hellenistic Pike. I've thought about making them only without shove, but I think actually I prefer to keep the combat shy with shove because it gives them the chance of getting that extra benefit back. So let's see where we get to. Quickly deal some cards. So when you're playing this game, if you've not played before, cards or discs, easiest thing to do is to deal everybody 2 because every general's got at least 2, and then let your opponent help you out where the others go. I happen to know all of them are 3 except for Demetrius over on the side there, who ideally wants to have enough cards to hand one over to help out with, yes he does actually, so he's going to hand over a green to help him do block moves over there. I'm just going to pull these out here so I can see them, but they're not messing up the table so much. On my side, quite handy the cards with Pacto, because if you've got one of our Pacto mats, you can just slip the cards under the edge of them here, so you can see what you've got very, very easily. But they don't really get in the way at all. Otherwise, you could use the command discs, which I used in the previous game. So if you haven't seen those, I tend to use these a lot. They sit on the table really neatly, blend in, and you just sit them behind the generals in a little stack, so it gives you your command system in colour. So off we go. So I'm going to try to start with to cause a little bit of chaos with these scythe chariots. So Antiochus is going to start by pressing forward with one of them, single move there, and he's going to drag those with him. I think in the centre, the Romans, seeing those advancing, would want almost certainly to try and wipe them out quite quickly. So I'm going to advance and use a black for dead ahead and a green to make it a block move. And I'm going to advance this legion with Lucius Cornelius Scipio in charge. He's going to advance directly forward. Very good. That leaves him still 2 reds to play with. Back to this side, I think in line with this slot as an attack, I do believe we will go directly ahead with these. He can only take 3 unfortunately, so that's upgrading white to directly ahead, so he can only take some of them, and he has slowed by the speed of the Galatians, so there we go, that's that done. Eumenes didn't have a huge amount of fear in this battle of people, so I think he would do this. He would go a double move, and as these are slightly better quality, they could wheel a bit, which they probably will do with their second one. So we'll do that. So that puts Eumenes' Therophoroi and his shooters into a decent position. Back over here, well, let's chuck some chariots forward. We'll keep them together. We don't really want to get them all killed in one go, so we'll keep them together for now. Back over to the Romans, and we'll bring those forward with an upgraded white. There's no need to wheel though. We'll just keep the Zistophra over there. Back to Antiochus over here, who will play forward with his cavalry and do a double move and try and replicate a bit what he did in the actual real battle. He doesn't see any reason not to apply quite a lot of pressure on this wing, so that will do. These are my white to play with. The Romans, I think, will do a straightforward advance with this legion. White dead ahead, white upgraded to green to make a block move and go to there, but that only leaves them a black, so they're not going to be able to move their cavalry at the same time. And over here we're now a bit limited, but we will single move those Galatians to keep pace. Luckily he's got enough colours to pull that off. I'll discard a black. And over here I think we'll just do a straightforward move just to keep pace rather than racing off with those. And actually I'll do that with two whites, upgrading one of them to green, which I'll do it over here anyway to leave these guys a chance to actually go swarming off over here. And this is rough terrain, we said, on this side, so they're slowed down to 4, but they'll put themselves in rough terrain and try and go and be pests, which is what light cavalry are often good at. And finally over here, I think seeing that we've got a little bit of trouble possibly brewing, we'll turn those to flank with a green, and we'll save the 2 yellows and the 2 reds for a little bit later. That's turn 1 done. I shall have short pauses as I discard things and I take a few top-down photographs, just so that I can insert them into the video for you so you can see a little more what's going on from a top-down perspective. Here we go. Let's take one of those. And I don't think I need anything else just yet. And let's race on with turn 2. Here we go. Turn 2. This time the Romans have the pack, are active, so we'll deal some cards out here. 1, 2, 3. There we go. You both need extras. Add up that to 3. This looks correct. Yes. And same thing as before. Let's see what we want to do with these guys. Put them sideways, take a little bit less space. Again, he would want to distribute a card to allow a block move to them, so he's going to do that. Right, we are getting quite close. Well, these chariots are actually in range, so I suppose they might want to go charging forward, or they might want to actually wait. I think actually they will take their time. So it's to the Romans first to do something. So I think the Romans will be holding those back there, but we'll be wanting to, and they could double move these guys to a limit of there. So I'm going to do it this way. Just trying to interfere with this cavalry attack a little bit with some high quality Romans. So there we go. For now, that's that done. Put the Roman side. And Antiochus will want to try and press forward and get past them if he can. Which probably is going to be limited with the Ojima, so he's going to have to do a wheel move. And these guys are limited to 4. It will get them close enough. This is a pushback move, so those V-lights are going to be forced back behind the line. These light horse move quicker, so they're going to get to there. And there we have Antiochus's move. And moving over to this side, I think the Zistophra want to get these in range, so there's nothing to stop them at this point going directly ahead, and a block move, and it's still sufficient to, I think they'll wheel back a little bit to put them there. On the opposing side here, that's interesting, these cavalry quite like the idea of doing something, but they're limited in cards because they need to save something, so they're going to have to do it, so you're going to have to upgrade that one to a black, which means they can only go directly ahead, so but they could come close enough to force again to do a pressure move and force those back. So that's probably not a bad idea. So the cavalry have done that. There we go. And that, unfortunately, that leaves them white still for the light horse, so you're going to be a bit careful over that side at that point. Romans in the centre, they're a bit limited on what they could do. They could advance the legion but that leaves them nothing to do with the Roman cavalry. But I think they will opt for that because, right, we're trying to see what would happen, and I think the Romans would go forward and engage quite forcefully in this type of battle. In the centre here, the pikes I think probably do want to advance, so directly forward and 3 of the pikes. This could get a bit messy with the 5 chariots in front, but 3 of them, maximum size of block he can do as his quality of general, keeps him agreeing to bring the other pike forward. The Romans over here, well, I think probably the most likely move is to double move these guys, and they can get within 4 of the lights. There's no problem with that. So Domitius will go on the end there, having used the yellow to do that. Moving back over here, we'll spend a green, put those in position there. Back to the Romans. Yes, I think we'll pressurise them, so we'll go directly ahead with all of these as well. So we've got a long line of legions and some V-lights out front, and we'll take those South chariots on the chin, I think, with superior legionaries. A good way of dealing with those. Let's see if we can get a scene from Gladiator to work. And back over here, elephants probably don't want to press forward just yet, but we would quite like to get rid of those slingers. So I'm going to actually do the entire block forward the maximum to bring them in very close range, like so. Because we'll try and shoot those V-lights, those slingers off next time. Back to the Romans. Don't really want to block anything particular out at that point, so they're going to pass. They're going to so they'll discard a black, and that probably makes for the last move over here being a green there, and then they would discard a white over that side, and the only thing that's going to happen now is these annoying skirmishers are going to come forward 4 and get within range to throw a few javelins at those Zistophra. The Zistophra might decide to ride past them, we'll see. No, we'll hold back for now and see what happens. That's turn 2 done. You tell the misspent youth. There we go. Let's do these. And this side. There. Upgrade those to 3. 3 with all of those, and Domitius should have 4 and has got 4, so that's good. Right, Seleucid pack. First, Domitius may again want to hand the card over, and I think he does, so he'll hand the green over there. In fact, he'll hand the yellow over because it might come in handy. There we go, so that's done. Charges, starting with the Seleucids. Well, I think they would, at this point, try to do some damage. So they will block charge all of those. So that's 2 cards to do it. Still leaves him with a red later. Roman charges. No, the Romans don't really want to charge anybody. And I don't think they're in range, but they don't want to bother. They don't want to bother. And in the middle we'll have 2 free charges from these devastating charger chariots, and they'll point themselves in that direction and try and get to the legionaries. So first of all, in the centre here there's going to be shooting from the V-lights, who will each skirmish, so they'll do a white on each. We'll do them as they lay. Right, they've wounded one of them, taking a bit of the impact off that one, and they go backwards and they each roll a dice, and that will be 2 down to 1, which is still sufficient. So they're going to drop back safely behind the line of those legionaries, and those 2 are going to crunch in there, and I'll align them, which I'm allowed to do for the sake of it. Over on this side, these heavily armoured Jima are going to take a black die from those V-lights, which does nothing, and then they'll crunch into there. And there's no shooting going on here as they will crunch in there, and we'll see what happens. in terms of the fights, the Seleucids get to go first. We may as well do this one first. It's a scythe chariot, which has no factors. It's against superior impact weapon who have 3, so they are likely to take them out. It's red against white, but actually the S for the expendables counts as a skull and a shatter, so you never know. They did a wound each, so the scythe chariots have actually done something. There we go. And the next one here, you have the same effect, and they've got rid of those scythe chariots, so those are broken. There we go. Boom. They're not a tug, so they don't count as causing losses, but they are within 5, so they could potentially go back through the pikes, which is a little embarrassing. So we shall see how that goes in a moment. Over on the other side, the Agema here. The Agema are long spear. They are superior, if we count it that way, and they are devastating chargers, and they're facing superior legionaries who are impact weapons. So actually, that's not too bad for the Romans. It's green against green. I'll use the big one for the horses. And they put a wound on the legions. If we do these two, which are connected, Antiochus will get to choose to go first, because he's got the pack. He will go here with his companions, and he'll throw himself in. He's trying to get a fast result. So these are normal Roman cavalry with 1 for short spear. These are superior companions charging lancers with a general. So that in total is going to put them 3 up in that charge. So that could be nasty because they could get a shatter. And have got a shatter. So they've destroyed a Roman cavalry and they've caused a shatter right here. And that gives these guys a bonus. So these guys would be long spear devastating charger. And the Romans are going to be 2 for impact weapon. But the shatter gives a +2 to the neighbouring file. So they go to 4. So they go to 2 up and get a yellow against a white. And did another shatter, which if anything down here would have flowed onwards. But the Roman line has held at that point. So lost the base there. At the end of the charge phase, other than this route, let's see how far it goes. It goes short. Oh, they disintegrate early. So they disintegrate there, and therefore don't go back through the pikes, which is a great relief to Seleucus commanding the pikes. We now have shooting. Over here, slingers against these. Once you're in close range against unprotecteds, they don't really like that, it becomes green. So it's 1 green for those at them. Didn't do anything, and they're going to suffer 2 greens back, which could be quite nasty. So let's see what happens if they get rid of them. Only a wound. It didn't quite get rid of them. Need 2 wounds to get rid of them. There we go. Shooting here, there's a white from the Turrentine Cavalry there, which doesn't do anything. And looking around, there's not a lot else in terms of shooting. They can shoot a base width to the side, which is that much, if they can see them, which they can, so they can get a shot at those. It's white, but they have shield cover, so that takes it down to black. No effect. Pretty difficult to do anything against the guys with shield cover. That's one of their big advantages. That's the shooting phase over. We're over to manoeuvring. And now I think it's time for the phalanx to advance. So they're going to walk through their skirmishers with 3 of them, which puts them there, and they fall back to make space. So that's 3, again, 3 tugs going forward together. So that's the pike phalanx coming forward in fairly traditional form. Superiors on the right. And we will see where we get to in a minute. Job done. On the Roman side, well, that's quite interesting because these are in danger of breaking, which would be difficult. So we really want to threaten their flanks. So what we'll do is Domitius will bring these round here and stand there, which is in a fairly dangerous position, and threaten their flank. There we go. Coming back to Rome, rather busy there. They can do something with their lights if they want to. I think they probably will. They'll come forward and annoy the pikes and throw some javelins at them next time. On this side, slightly annoying that they've got traps there, but what they will do over here is they'll bring the horse archers forward as well into range and start shooting at the Zistophra. And in response, the Zistophra will is he'll wheel these spears to get them firmly in the way of the cavalry there. And he'll take those with him while he's at it. There we go. Over on this side, they want to get rid of some of these troops, but they don't want to advance with everything. So what they're going to do is advance the Galatians, and the Galatians will push those skirmishers back, which is now going to free up a chance to actually get nearer the enemy line in a minute. Romans. The Romans, they're busy there. They'll save their cards. They're busy there, but they could, having received the charge in movement, they could lap those Ashima and try and trap them in combat. But the problem is these pikes are coming up here, and if they get facing that direction, they could get charged in the rear. So I don't think they'll bother doing that, and they don't really want to do anything particular here. And they were forced back with the and these don't want to. So actually they're in a good position. They're actually going to ignore all of that and simply throw the Zistophra forward as far as possible in an attempt to catch some enemy cavalry. I'm going to discard that while I'm there because I see there's not much else that he's doing. They're going to bring another pike block up behind here. It's going to get burst through by the chariots, but they want a solid line, so they'll risk that. And over here, all of these are going to advance still further, put the elephants and the Galatians up close. That's all spent. That's all spent. These guys will want to keep those for the time being for after melee phase. I'm going to discard them a bit early in the sequence, just so I can see what's going on. Melee combat. Over here, superior melee expert against nothing. So it's 2 up, which means this will be a green. So we get that. Oh, did nothing. But at the end of the phase, if they do nothing, they're not broken and routed, they disintegrate anyway and remove. So they are just removed now. No rout, they just disintegrated on the spot and lost their momentum. Okay, interesting. The Ashima here. Superior fully armoured, long spear for 3. Superior melee expert for 2. So they're now 1 up in the fight. So they're going to be green against a white, and there's going to be a black supporting file from there. Ah, a wound on each. Okay. That's a wound there, and that takes off 1 of the Romans. In the fight over here, the companions are melee expert, and they are superior, and they've got a general. So again, they are 3 up against those relatively mediocre Roman cavalry, and do enough to break them. So those Roman cavalry are broken by that attack. And against this one, you've got a box standard legion, which is 1 for melee expert against 2 for the full armour and long spear. So they're 1 down, but they do have a helping supporting file on the side. Oh, that didn't do them any good. That would have been a shove as well. Wow, impressive. Okay, not that it really mattered. Okay, so that's a dramatic phase. At the end of the phase, we have some cab tests. We have a cab test here because of this rout, which does a wound, which unfortunately means they break as well. For those, there's a cab test on the exceptionals, which generally doesn't do much. It's a white. Yeah, did something. A rare wound on an exceptional from it. And then we've got a cab test on these. This could be a bit disastrous. These are veterans, so they're the superior ones. Luckily nothing. And on the Velites. It's a wound on the Velites. Okay, and then they're going to rout, and the companions are going to pursue. So we'll see how far the cavalry routed. They routed normal, so these cavalry can go 5, so they crash into the camp. So there you go, that's a bit exciting. And we still haven't done this rout, and this rout causes a yellow cab on those, and a green cab on the superior triarii. A wound on each. Oh, as in the real battle, Antiochus has made quite a mess. They pursue 3 this time because the infantry slowed them down as they chop them down. So cutting down the infantry, they're also heading towards the camp. So that's 2 tugs of Romans down. So it's 2-0 to Antiochus at the moment. Interesting. And then we have recovery phases. Well, there's a few around that he can use. He could use that because they're not in combat to get rid of something, and he'll get rid of that one actually, since no, he'll get rid of that one because they could potentially be shot off, which would be embarrassing. In the middle here, he could use 1 yellow to recover those, which he may as well, and he will keep 1 green. And over here, he's not really in a position to use the red other than those skirmishers, and that's a bit of a waste, so he's not going to bother. And there's nothing over there. And Antiochus hasn't suffered any severe wounds except for here, where he's got a wound. But I think he's gone might have gone too far away. Let's have a see. No, he's still in range, so he can use the red to do that. And there you have it. And on we go, turn 4. As in the real battle, Antiochus has got off to a flying start on the right hand side. We'll have to see what happens in terms of freeing himself from the camp. I have a feeling the rather nasty Triarii on his flank are going to cause some trouble there. So they're not going to have an easy time of it, that's for sure. Come on there. Keep this going. Very straightforward. 4 each here, and a 4th for Domitius, who, as usual, will donate something useful to donate a yellow to the centre. There we go. Right, this time it's the Romans. First go, turn 4. Do we have charges anywhere? Doesn't want to charge here because doesn't want to end up hitting elephants while charging. So the one place they will charge is a free one with the Zistophra. Free because they are charging lancers. So they're going to charge the Dei horse archers. They'll take some fire on the way. The Galatians are going to free charge here against the Therophoroi. They are going to stand and take the shooting here. And then we have the Pikes, which will, since they're all in range, I think we'll go for it. They're not in range, that's interesting. We've got the distance slightly wrong. Let's see if they are. Excellent. Quick double check. Yeah, they are. So we'll have 3 Pikes charging then, which will have to be upgrade to green and a red to make a block charge. So the Pikes are in. Bang, 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 bang. That's going to go in. I'll do it now because it saves a little bit of time. The only other thing that's going to happen is they're going to free charge. I'll leave that because there's some shooting against that one in a minute. Coming back over here, Romans, I don't think the Romans have got a huge amount other than here. They're going to charge those Triarii into the flank there. Try and finish off those companions. And I think they'll free charge there. That was a free charge because they were in range. Free charge there to get rid of those. And I think that's all the charges we're going to want to do at this stage. The elephants don't want to charge. Yes, that is. So that's in. We've got some shooting on a few of them. This one is going to get shot at by the V-lights. I'm going to roll their running away dice at the same time. So they do a wound, but they only go back 2. So they've sacrificed themselves effectively, but to take a wound on the superior Agriaspids, which is probably not a bad deal. And there's no shooting anywhere here, so those crash into the side there. That's all very easy. Over here they will take a white dice shooting there, doesn't do anything, and then they've run away normal, so they've gone back 4, and those Triarii have chased them away on the flank there. That's a good job by them. And the one scary one over here is it's a white for the Tarentines. The Dei are going to choose to run away because they'll get caught otherwise and only roll the black, but thereby keep the full speed. Didn't do anything, so this is a pretty vital roll actually on how far they go. Oh, and they go short. Now that's not good news. That means they go 4, but facing away from the enemy. The only good news is that these guys were pointing in a direction where they wanted to hit the Galatian cavalry instead, so they're going to thump the Galatian cavalry, which saves the Dei horse where we are. That's all of them resolved in terms of movement. Now we just have to fight them. Over on this side we have the Zistophra. Eumenes will join them because he wants a spectacular result. He's charging Lancer Superior for 3, General for 4, facing Short Spear for 1. Gives him a red versus white on this side here. And they do a wound. Not too disastrous. The Galatians here have charged the long spears. And the long spears are on 1, the Galatians are on 2, as they're devastating charges. So green against white to them. A wound on each, so attrition time there. Let's keep going along the line. Pikes. Okay, the Pikes have hit and it's the Romans' turn. Well, they're all the same. So these are superior Roman legionaries fighting combat shy. So they end up in 4 factors against 2. So they're yellow against white at first contact and could do some damage. Nothing there. And the other one. A wound on each. Okay. Here we go. And over here, as it's the Romans go, they would choose to do this one first. Sorry, there was another free charge there. Those should have clattered into the camp. There's a free charge there. So this one is on a flank for 4. They're exceptionals. So they're 1 better than 0s for 5. They've got long spear for 6. And that's it. And Antiochus won't throw himself in here because he'll probably get himself killed. So that's a red and a yellow against a black. Not disastrous. It means the camp is in a bit of trouble. The camp we're playing as a superior loose order camp. It wasn't fully built. It had been moved forward just beforehand. The proper camp was a bit further back. So these guys are going to be equal for the superior, 2 for charging lancer, plus another 1 for loose order. Red against white against the camp there. There's the first wound on the camp. The camp breaks on 4. On the next one here, we've got these devastating charger fully armoured types for 2. They're not superior, so the enemy get 1 for that, and they get 1 for loose, 2 up. A second wound on the camp. Oh, there's a danger that the Roman camp might get sacked here. That's quite exciting. All right, let's see what we can do about that. That is the charge phase done. Shooting phase comes next. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. There's shooting here, so they will use shield cover to protect themselves. No damage, and they will also use shield cover to protect themselves. The hoplites have it too. No damage there. And they shot during the charge, so there's no effect with those. We are now into movement, and it's the Romans first. So the first thing the Romans are going to do, being drilled, is use a green and turn onto the flank of theirs, which allows them to align like that. And that is potentially quite handy and will take the heat off the camp. The next thing that's going to happen is we've got to decide whether to turn an entire unit or not. Well, they can't face the these guys that way, so they're going to have to turn and fight those. It's the only way they can survive against such serious odds. So they'll face the Triara. It's still not very pleasant, but it beats being fought in the flank. Coming back to the enemy here now, given the shooting is doing no effect now, it is time for the elephants and everything else to come through. So they're going to fall back behind as a result of these guys moving forward full. So the Galatians and the elephants thunder forward. The light troops have at least protected them from any V-lights, and it's about as good as you get. And on this side over here, we're going to turn the Dei Horse Archers around, so they'll at least be able to shoot again next time. In terms of over here, we're going to turn these skirmishers and move them, drop down 2 base widths and move them here. And we'll put him there as he's just a nominal. So they're going to try and protect the rear of those from the shooting. And meanwhile, these guys are going to spin all the way around and try and put more pressure on. Get themselves in a position where they could probably ride them down. And that's probably worthwhile. Moving back over to the Romans, these will lock to grid. Just make a block move to lock themselves into position and at least temporarily give an extra overlap, supporting file against the phalanx here. on this side over here. They want to keep that in place. They've got that to play with there, which they can't use to recover anything, so they may as well use it to bring these Cappadocians up, lest they are any use later. The Romans on this side are pretty happy as they are, and we'll keep those. In the middle, yeah, we'll probably, yes, we'll turn some V-lights and bring them out through the gap there. So at least we can throw some sticks at the approaching phalanx. Really need to get rid of these, which is a bit problematic. And let's see. But again, we don't go around the flank. We've got the pikes threatening us quite badly. Nothing to be done there. So the only thing that's of any use really is whether to use these cavalry somewhere. But they are a good reserve at the moment. So we're going to leave those as they are, and I think we will leave all of these as they are except for Antiochus can't use those, so we will at least bring these javelinmen back up into range. 2 cards though, because he's in combat. And at the end of that we have the melees, of which there are quite a few. I'm going to start over here. So we have Zistophra versus the cavalry with a general in, which means they're superior, they're melee expert, and they've got a general, so they are still 3 up against them. Did another wound, so that's one of the Galatians down. Next along is the Spears versus the Galatians. The odds are now reversed because the Galatians' devastating charge is gone. Not that it matters, they've taken a rear rank off one of the Theophoroi. Elephants are not in. Pikes over here. Romans have got the set, so they would go for here. Superior melee expert versus combat shy against a factor of 2 for the pike, 3-2. So the Romans are now 1 up, which also means they would get a bonus white dice from the supporting file here, because that one would be average, and that one would be even, so it would normally be green. So yes, there we go. Ah, nothing there, but the yes is a shove. That's working. The pikes have got a shove there. So on the next one, where the Romans would normally be 1 up, the pikes have now got a shove, it makes it even. And the pikes thereby do some damage. This is getting a little sweaty for Rome. Okay, the fight over here against the Gema. Gema are superior, long spear, fully armoured against superior melee expert. They're 1 up. But there's a, oh, that's messy, and there's a black from the side, which does nothing. Well, that totally demolishes those. So the Gema, so again, the right flank of Antiochus going very well. Over on this side, the Romans with first go would choose this one, because they want to try and damage these guys before they fight the camp. So they've got 2 for fighting to a flank, but the fully armoured of the enemy still counts and melee expert counts, so it's 2 up. So they're a net 2 up on the flank. They really could do with a skull here. Didn't get anything. The Seleucids would choose that one against the camp now, which is fully armoured, long spear against superior. So they're 1 up. Skull will take the camp. No, the camp defenders, we've got camp defenders in there, which is why superior have fought back and done some damage. Here is, they are Triara with long spear is 2 against mounted, so that's good for that. 1 better for exceptional, so they're 3 factors. And they cancel out the melee expert because they can't get close enough to them with the long spears. So while they're 2 ranks deep, that cancels it. So the only thing they've got is their normal superior, which I've already netted off on the exceptional. So it's effectively 4-1. So the Triara are 3 up, but it would have been 5 up a little earlier. So that's a bit messy. That's 1 companion gone there. Not too disastrous there. At least the camp was a good result for the Romans. And that's the end of the turn. We're looking at rallies around here. There's a red here, so he's going to recover a wound on the Galatians in the combat. There's nothing here to play with and nothing here. Over here there's a yellow, which can only do something that's out of combat, of which there aren't any, so he's going to discard a green. Over here we can do yellows for ones that are out of combat, so he'll get rid of 1 of them and just bring the V-lights back. Still keeps him a yellow for later. The yellow here for out of combat could possibly, no, can't reach anybody. And over here, the red's useful, so we'll keep it. So we'll just keep those cards. A good scenario, Mark Bevis. Thank you very much. It's well worth fighting just to finish off the Magnesia story. You take that off and take that off and just tidy up a little bit. Always tidy your table at the end of every turn. And if you do, you get some really nice photographs, which is a good thing to do. Tidy tables really matter. Here we go. And this time it's a Seleucid pack again. Now let's see where we get to now. So we are a charge phase for the Seleucids. Is there anything we want to do? Depends really. Well, oh, I completely forgot. This is what happens sometimes when you're playing on your own. I forgot the route there. That will actually cause a yellow cab on those, which means they have a base off, which actually meant they couldn't use the yellow to take it off anyway, but it will affect things very little. And there's a green against those superior guys there, and then they break through, which is quite important. So there we go. Let's see how far they go. Normal, so they go 3, so they get to there, so that actually the Ujima have broken through there, which is actually going to be a little messy. Now I get to the charge phase. Ooh, ouch. There we go. The remaining one of those has to do a runaway move, so we'll end up 4 away down there. Right, well that changes the complexion a bit, having forgotten that, because when it comes to charges, it's pretty straightforward that you want to do that one into the flank of those Triarii. But he has to pay... he's not in combat. No, he's not in combat, so it's a straightforward green. That might save the companions. There we go. In terms of the Roman side, we'll do a free charge against those again to drive them away with a bit of a turn. If we come back over this side, we are now ready to charge. So all of these are going, and they're all going as free charges. There's nothing else needed because they're all close enough to claim a free result. On this side, the light horse would charge if you have plenty of cars, but he doesn't want to use a red to do that. It's a little expensive, so they'll stay and they'll shoot, and these will all stand to receive. So if we do those, that would be below black, and they're facing the wrong way, so they're crunching to those. That is going to hurt a lot. There is a white dice over here because you cannot use shield cover in a charge phase. So that deliberately represents you're not hunkering down, you're actually running at speed, so you can't use your shields well enough to protect yourself. That's that one done. In terms of executing the rest of them, the Galatians crunch in there, the elephant crunches in there, that elephant crunches in there, and that would seem to be it, but that would seem to be plenty. Let us see what we get as a result. Seleucids have got the card pack. They're going to go with this one. This is going to be horrible. The Ujima are superior, if I count it that way, so they're 1, they're devastating charge of their long spear, and they're a flank for 7. These guys are exceptional, so do get their 2 for that. So it's 5 up, and 5 up is a red and a green against a black. Could sweep away the Triarii. Nearly does. I did some damage back. They're good, you see. These third-rank Triarii don't give up very easily. Look at that. They did some damage to the Ujima, which the Legion previously didn't manage to do. Working down the line, charges, and it is... So this is first. So do we go elephant or do we go this? Well, the elephants are on 2, 2. It's 2-2 for both. So we may as well do the elephant first. We'll use a big dice for the elephant against a small for the Roman, so it makes sense. And that's a wound on the elephants. Let's see if the elephants can let them down again. We'll do the same here. And the Romans have done rather well and killed one of the Galatians. Okay. Here, the elephants are charging in are on factor 2. The spears are also factor 2. So I'm just going to actually double check that one, if I may. I do occasionally make a mistake myself, especially when you're trying to play multiple sides and describe things at the same time. Long spear plus 2 plus strength 2 against cavalry chariots, and not against elephants. So it's 1 up for the elephants there. no luck. The elephants actually take a damage there. So maybe the elephants are going to let Antiochus down again. That is all the charge phase stuff. We now have shooting. Over here, these are at point blank range, so they're 2 greens. I'll use a large green for the cavalry. Wound on each, so they're both peppering each other and doing a little bit of damage over here. There's no shooting there. Can't shoot them frontally, only if they break off. There's nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing here. There is a javelin throw there, which they will have to put on these. It goes down a level because it's shooting a supporting file. There's nothing, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, there. All done, easy. Let's go into movement. The Seleucids, well, I think the Seleucids can cause a bit of trouble here. So first thing they're going to do is spend a white and advance the Agrispids directly forward. And I'm going to take that one because they want the supporting file to fight. The Romans have got a problem here. Just got to keep fighting there. I think the Roman plan has got to be to swing some cavalry over. So the cavalry here on this side are going to do a double move, as long as they don't go within 4. So they're going to have to go backwards, so that's going to be tricky. So the only thing they can do, they're not drilled, they're formed. Okay, the only thing they can do realistically is turn on the spot and then get themselves ready to ride over in that direction later. They're going to have to protect this flank by the looks of it. On this side, let's see. What do we want to do there? I don't think there's a huge amount we want to do other than, because those are likely to break, we're going to pull these Dei back 3 to there with a red. Be a little cautious over on that side. If we look over there at Rome again, nothing to be done, nothing to be done, nothing to be done, done it already. There's a gap appearing there, so the other thing that might be sensible, on the basis that we're doing quite well frontally, is the Triarii are going to turn, do a turn and move, and go a little bit over there, because they may have to help protect a flank as well in due course. And if we carry on back here, he wants to keep his yellow. The elephants are all in, and there's no point really with the general throwing himself into any of those fights because there's a good chance he could get himself killed. So probably the best bet is to spend that and withdraw all the skirmishers a bit, make a bit of room in case the elephants go berserk. Looking over at the Romans, I don't see anything more to do, so we can fight the melee phases. I'll start over here again. There's the Zistophra again, are red versus white. The enemy general will throw himself in to drop it to yellow. That's actually quite helpful because there are 2 skulls on a red dice, so it really potentially helps. Unfortunately, they break, and they cause a wound on the Zistophra, and there's an immediate chance to kill the general, who's competent, so it's a yellow. So if he doesn't die, stunned. That means he gets rid of his cards. They weren't very good anyway, so it's not a huge loss. Next one's interesting. The spears have lost their rear rank, so there are no factors. The Galatians have no factors, so it's exactly the same. We'll use a big dice for the Galatians. The Galatians break through some Therophoroi and cause a little bit of a mess there. Spears here are on factor 1, elephants are on factor 1. They're the same. Big dice for the elephants. Oh, elephants have crushed some Therophoroi there. So we're going to get a bit exciting. Elephants against Romans here. Melee expert doesn't count. It's no use against the thick hide of an elephant. So the elephants are on factor 1, so they're going to be 1 up on these basic Romans, and they do have shove. Okay, so that's interesting. That's a combo effect which is allowed. It's a second wound on those, so the elephants actually break, but in the process of being broken have caused a shove with their green dice. I'm just going to mark that there, which gives them a little bit of assistance, and it makes them even. We use big for the Galatians with the Romans. Nothing there and no shoves because nothing else continues down the line. Let's keep doing these. Next one along it would have been Seleucid Roman, so next one's Seleucid. So they'll do the end one here. The pikes are going to be on a factor 2. The Romans are 1 for superior, 1 for melee, but 1 for fighting combat strike. So the Romans are 1 up in the melee. So it's those two with a black on the side. Oh, nothing there. And the same thing in the middle there. Nothing there. Oh, that's probably good for the Seleucids. If we come down here with Seleucids going first, the Seleucids would choose this one to the side. Would choose this one to the side here. So that is a superior Ejima. So 1 for superior, long spear, fully armoured, and 2 for a flanking melee for 5. Against exceptional is 1, 4 up. Probably the end of the gallant stand of the Triarii. And so it is indeed. So they're destroyed on the spot. Antiochus doing well. That does allow them to go first over here with the Romans though, and the Romans get 2 for a flank against the fully armoured, so they're 1 up. And that doesn't do anything. And then a fight against the camp where they are 1 up. Nothing happening. So the Roman camp is still holding. Lots of chaos. Let's do the end of phase right moves, of which there are now quite a few. So first of all, the Zistophra have broken the cavalry here. He survived the dice roll, so can join those. They are they're out of range of the day high, so it was a wise move removing them. And those have already broken. So let's see what we've got. There's a test on the Galatians. Nothing. And there is a test on those light troops. Nothing. So those rout. I've done that one. This one is broken, which does a green on the Zistophra. Nothing. A yellow on the archers behind. Taking some of those down. That breaks them because they break on 1 base, loss being skirmishers. And we've got also here a test from that breaking on the other one of the Therophori, which is unfortunate because they break. It's a double test because of that. When we get to these guys, they all accumulate. They've gone as well. And that causes a test on these Romans, which could be a bit embarrassing. Nothing there. So that's those done. They're routing, and they're routing. There's a now cab test for these elephants. Now this is where it gets messy because elephants push the cab test up a level. So normally an elephant's on white, but this one has to test on a green. Survives. That elephant's still going. These would normally be a yellow, but go up to a red. So it breaks the Galatians next to them. And that causes also a red on the pikes here for 1, and another red for the Galatians. So we lost a base of pikes in the process as well. Whee! Spectacular. So if I just implement the ones on this side for a minute, because there's an awful lot going on, those guys rout a full 5, so the Zistophra charging lancers have no choice but to pursue them. So they will pursue, boom, boom, boom. The rout is going to go that way, so they will pursue over here. I'm in a position to charge the day high horse archers next time. So that's a lost one there, completely lost one there. And if we do the next bits along here, those are going to rout 3, which means the Galatians are broken through there. And the other ones there have gone 4, so the elephants have plundered forward and demolished some troops there. So we have a major breakthrough on the right as well, with both Therophori down. So this is a messy situation for the Romans. The Romans are now, to do that in total, have lost possibly enough to break. We'll see. I'll have to do some adding up in a second. If we come over to the other side here, the Triarii, and those are gone. So that's the Triarii gone there. So let's add up Roman losses. We've lost the Triarii. We've lost half of this legion, 1, 2, 3, and the cavalry. The superior 4, 5, 6 so far, because we've lost the Eumenes' Therophori. And that 6 is, let's looking at the army, it's not enough to break it because it needs 8, so there's 2 to go. If we look at the losses on this side, they've lost both sides chariots, but they don't count for anything in particular. They've lost a Galatian if I can find the base for it. So that's a Galatian gone. One that was there. I seem to have lost the figures for that one somewhere. I don't know where that is. So that's a Galatian and a Cavalry. So they've actually lost 2 on the Seleucid side. So at the end of turn 6, as we go through and do any recoveries we can find, he can't do any. He'll discard one there. Looking at these, he can recover that one. May as well do it. And over on this side, he's rather busy but can't do anything about that. If we look at I can use the green to get rid of that one because they're no longer in combat, so you can keep the red, which is nice. If we look at the next general along, he has used everything. If we take Scipio himself, he's nothing to recover, but we'll keep both the yellows. And if we look over here, everything is out of range for recovery, so he'll just keep the yellows. And that's our position at the end of the turn. Let's see what happens now. All the cards over there. Let's Roman go, I believe. Right, Roman charge phase. Well, let's see. There was 2 pursuits there that I just need to double check. 3 and 3, so they went to there and they went to there. That might be important in a minute. Okay, let's see what we've got. Roman charges. Probably none. I think probably none, actually. I mean, they don't need to charge. That's a free one, so those will go in. But that's about it. So that's the only thing that's happening from the Roman side, and from the Galatian side, from the Antiochus' side, the only one will be these guys, where he wants to pay a yellow to charge with those. They'll run away again, so they will throw a dice, do no damage, go normal speed, so they will bomb away to there, going backwards, and the Thorophorai will wheel and attempt to catch them and end up short. So that's relatively easily done. And I can't see any other charges. There's a bit of sorting out to do before we get any other charges. So the only one is that. So that's superior Pikes versus superior Romans. The only difference is the combat shy, which keeps the Romans 1 up. And they do a wound. Okay. Shooting phase. So there's a bit of firing here. There's two shots at the Romans, but they're black because the Legion will just put its shield cover up. Has done something. And now, having bust so many holes, it's more of a sort of quiet period in a way, while some things have to recover their positions and get themselves in a better place to do things. So if we start with the Romans, the one thing that Rome wants to do with this Legion, using a green, is to turn and put themselves on the flank of that phalanx. And that could be quite telling. Phalanxes don't like having their flanks exposed that way. The Romans, meanwhile, I've got to do that. So over here, we're going to advance these Cappadocians up this way. There we go. There might be some use actually at some point. Looking over here, we're going to upgrade to a green and do a double move with these. So we're going to do it as a turn for the first one, because they drilled and then march that way. And they're going to go and try to help out on this desperate flank fight. Meanwhile, over here, Antiochus has got bad cards, so it's going to take him a while to rearrange things. So he can only turn one of them round. So he'll live with the companions operating as they are, and he'll turn the Ajima around anyway, as they're in a very nasty position. So that puts these Romans under pretty desperate pressure. In the centre, the Romans over here, having done that green, again he's lacked cars to do what he wants, so he's going to race along here with these cavalry to try and come to the rescue, but probably won't get there in time. Over here we've also got a bit of trickiness turning things around. These won't allow these guys to do anything. They're basically busy now and stuck. So the only thing that really can be done is things with skirmishers. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some sorting out over here and bring some archers in range there and try and shoot up the Zistophra as best we can. That black's useless, so we'll discard it. We'll go for a white here, which will allow them to... In fact, we will go for a white there, upgraded to green to allow those to turn, so at least they can shoot next time when they charge, but they've nowhere now to go. We'll discard that black, it's no use to them. We'll double move a yellow. A yellow is a double move with these, so we'll bring these light cavalry out. Can't go within 4 as the second moves, but they'll sit there. And again, we're trying to gang up on the Zistophra with some weak stuff. Coming back to the Romans, it looks like those triarii are going to be needed in that direction in a minute. So he's used all his cards, so he can't do anything. In the middle here, it's going to be down to the commander himself to do something dramatic. So we are going to have to try to break the phalanx in the middle and try and support these. So he's going to put himself in there so he can go into combat and hope he can do something reasonably serious. On that side, these blacks are no use, so he's going to discard them both, make the Romans make some decisions. The Romans don't have any more decisions really to make. So we are about it. So we can fight a melee phase. If I start from this end, it's the Romans first. The important one they've got is this one, might just save the day. Romans on the flank of the Pike, and they're combat shy, so they're 2 up for the flank and 1 for combat shy. So they get a red dice on a flank. Could be a humdinger. It's a skull, and that breaks the Pikes in the melee phase, which is quite important. That's done. That leaves this one to be fought. The Romans are superior melee expert, giving them 2. The Pikes are 2, but 1 more for the combat shy. So Pikes get a black and a white. Take down the Romans. Romans take down the base. This is exciting. This is very, very close. Parts of the Romans have gone down there. Messy. General's going to fight there. That will actually put the Romans to 2 up. Oh, and they've killed one of them. That's impressive. Okay, it's very close. And over here, when we get to this fight, the Romans get to choose first, so we'll fight the one to the flank, hope they can get rid of them. No, can get rid of themselves, that's not particularly helpful. Lost a base, which means that they can still attack the camp. But the camp fighters have killed one of the cataphracts. They're defending the camp superbly. Half casualties, but it's fighting on. Woo, that's exciting. End of the turn then, there's a break here, and that break is going to cause cab test next door. So we've got a yellow cab test there, luckily does nothing. But they're allowed to pursue because they get destroyed, so these can pursue. So then they crunch into those, so that's a charge phase, hit on those next time, which might actually be quite powerful. So we've now lost a Pike, so it's now 4 down on the Seleucid side. Rallying and recoveries, Demetrius hasn't got anything he can do with those, so he'll save the 2 yellows. Nothing needs to be rallied over there. And the red on the wing is nothing, so he'll save that. These are useless. The only one that's any use is the red. Whether he's in range or not, he is in range, so he'll do that one, which again could be quite important. And that's the turn. Situation at the moment is that the flank that's nearest to you here is pretty much a victory for Antiochus. Camp is on the brink of going down, but the legion is fighting hard on the defenders, so anything could happen there. The Agema, of course, huge damage and are about to charge these legionaries in the flank, so that's going to be horribly messy. That's not going to be nice at all. The cavalry here are too far away to help this time, but will be able to help next time. On the flank over here, it's sort of in a dead phase. There's a charge from the Zistophra coming, but everything else is trying to rearrange itself after winning. And these tribal troops are not easy to get back in the game. So there's still a glimmer of hope for the Romans here. And we've got a Roman charge on the side of the phalanx. I don't see the game one way or another surviving the next turn. So let's see what we get to, and hopefully we'll get the result. It's a very interesting scenario, even with the Pikes as combat shy. They're not bad. Not bad at all. They do okay on large numbers, which is interesting. So raises the question properly of, is this a better plan than Antiochus? If he stuck to something a bit more normal, would he have come out better? And it's the turn of the Seleucids. Okay, so that's a free charge there. I'm going to move the general to the side just to show it. So that's going to go crunching into the back of there. Free because they're devastating charges. So you would actually have to stop them from charging. The Romans, going to be a charge there with a white upgraded to green for the Zistophra. Actually, they don't even need it. They're free as well. They're devastating charging lances rather, so they'll go in. These guys at this time don't have very far to go, so yeah, 5 would take them off the table. So they can't run away, so they're going to have to stand and fight. They're not going to shoot because they don't want to suffer the reduction of that. They're going to draw swords and try and cope with it that way. So the only charge we've got is that one, only. It's a bit horrible. That one, really horrible. And that one, really horrible. So there's 3 pretty horrible charges to go. Seleucids had the first go, so they would definitely do this one, charging into the rear there. The only thing the legionaries can count is they're superior, but the Agema are superior, long spear, devastating charges. So they're 2 up anyway, goes to 6 up once you take the flank into account. Have killed the rear one, bang. Half the legion gone there. Oh, Roman army teetering on the brink, but you never know. Flank charge against pikes is good though. As this is the charge phase, so the Romans would choose this one next. 2 for impact weapon, 4 for the flank. It's going to put them 6 up. And the pikes don't have any factors to flank. Oh, combat shy as well. Ooh, gets better. Double red. A deadly double red against black. That sweeps them away. So that breaks them. Okay, so they go. And we'll come back to that in a minute. And over here, there's Zistophra charging with the commander. Our charging lancer, 1 for superior and another one. So they are red and white against black frontally, and kill one of the bow. There we go. General didn't want to die in the first rank, so he's probably going to go in next time for the Seleucids. Now, what's interesting here is this one breaks, causes a cab test on the people next to them. So that's a yellow cab there, which puts a wound on them. But more importantly, they get to pursue. And because it's a charge phase, they get to pursue and fight another charge combat. So if they win in a melee phase, then they wait till the next charge phase. But this is still a charge phase, so they're going to thunder in and hit those in the flank. And that's exactly the same dice roll. It's going to be a double red against black for a chance to sweep the middle away. Do 1.5, which is 2, which has broken those as well. Okay, this is when it gets really exciting. Let's see. 1, 2, and that would cause a cab test on these ones here, who are at least superior. So it's a green, it's an S, doesn't do anything, and they would choose to pursue ahead there. So they've swept all the way down the line and wiped them out. Now that's interesting because suddenly we've lost 3 pike blocks. So let's count up. 1, 2, 3 pike blocks, 4 for the Galatian cavalry, 5 for an elephant, 6 for a Galatian. 6 for a Galatian, and let's just check these are all from different things. So there's 6 down, and the Seleucids break on 7. Woo. So the Seleucids are now 1 off breaking, their centre having collapsed. I think the Romans are 1 off breaking as well. So this is a bit of a cliffhanger. Okay, shooting. There will be a black there. Does nothing. There's nothing much going on here. Oh, there was a chance of killing the general in the middle. Now they've wounded him. So he's now a 2-card general. He joined the Agrispids there. There's no shooting, no shooting, no shooting. No, can't see any shooting. So it's moves, starting with the Seleucids. Right. I think now he can, now he can at least turn around the companions. So the companions will turn around that way with him. So that's useful. That's gone. Come back to the Roman side. These cavalry can at least whiz over and put themselves in charge range, so they can charge the Agema in the rear, in amongst all of this chaos. The Romans break them. No, they're facing that way. Okay, if we come back to it here, we have. Let's have a look. Romans will turn those. There we go. It's as good as it gets. And if we come over here, the only thing really they can do is turn one unit. See, this is the problem. They've got tribal troops and they need really good cards to turn things around. So yellow will only allow them to turn one. So the best they can do is turn an elephant. At least it's in range to maybe do something and bring those back into control. That's all done really. The commander over here would almost certainly at this stage bring those cavalry up close behind for a white, and the guy in the middle will bring those close up behind for a white. Just try to mob the Zistophra. That's it. Loads of reds in the middle. Let's see what happens. It remains a Seleucid's first go, which is important, so I have a horrible feeling the Roman army is about to collapse. It's just a question of where we're best going. We're probably here. So they only gets 1 for superior for the Romans. It's fully armoured, long spear, plus 2 for the rear, 4 against 1, 3 against 1 in favour of the Agema, and that will be it. And I'm pretty certain that's the game. The Roman army is broken. The Seleucid army is one off breaking, so woof, that was a bit of a cliffhanger. Conclusions, is it better than the deployment he put out? It all still relies on the right flank doing extremely well, which it did. Didn't take the camp down. Had the camp gone down, the Roman army would have gone a little bit earlier. The pikes did feel a little more solid, not having the brittle elephants in the middle, and the elephants did feel a little more capable of doing some damage. But they are both still brittle enough that it can still go pretty badly wrong. So would I favour it over what he set out originally? Probably I would. Probably prefer to use the elephants a bit more aggressively. Plus he had a lot more elephants in reserve, so that elephant block there maybe in the battle could have been 3 elephants wide rather than 2, which would have caused a bit more trouble. But having said that, the centre has collapsed again, and it wouldn't have taken a lot for the Seleucid centre to break. So it's a complete 50-50 actually, that game. Very, very close. Thanks for joining me.